smart money is buying VeChain. There's just no other way I can possibly phrase that. And so today I'm going to show you why smart money is hedging into VeChain for their future and how we can as well, because I only found this project as of a couple of days ago and everyone was telling me about it for a while now. Thank you to everyone who has been. And when I dove into it, I was literally mind blown. This project ticks just about every single box I look for in a cryptocurrency, and also by a long shot too. So today I'm going to make sure we all know about it and its potential as well. So guys, let's direct your attention now to the screen here and have a look at why I'm so bullish, right? So again, smart money is buying VeChain, but the question is why, and why is it so important right now? So we're going to answer those today, but first, guys, the spreadsheet is free for 1 month only. So please, I'm going to implore you to go to the description, the first link down there, review it, take notes, whatever it might be, because after a month, it's going in the archive box. Not forever, but for a while. Okay, so VeChain, in my opinion, is up there with the best, hands down. Until recently, I had ignorantly disregarded it, but this is why I'm now paying very close attention to the project, okay? So, in my opinion, there's very real adoption to be made here. VeChain has the ability to actually disrupt markets, and actually, might I say, already is creating generational wealth. That's not just a buzzword, that is facts, which is why smart money is super focused on it. Smart money being institutions, being large players, they can see what's about to happen, so we all do too. We need to, right? So let's break VeChain down today and see why smart money is actually buying it, put the facts on the table basically. Let's have a look at some of the most basic fundamental analysis that goes into finding these top tier coins. Now I'm going to obviously add in a little bit of my own twist to things and got a little bit deeper than just that. Of course, I'd be here for half an hour or a couple hours if I wanted to go fully in depth with this as well. The bullish features that make me super excited on the project, but most importantly, and I say this wholeheartedly, the concerns need to be addressed as well, so you are the most aware as you possibly can be. We as crypto investors, or investors in general, have to be pessimists. We can't always think the best is bound to happen. Just like Warren Buffett once said, he never invests in anything he does not understand. So I take this as me giving you all the information you need to make that investment, right? To understand what you're getting yourself into exactly. All right? I'm not going to just sit here and talk crap like some of the YouTubers do, okay? So one thing I want to say is, again, typical fashion, like my case, right? I've recorded this video before and it was literally 35 minutes long. So I don't want that to happen. I don't want to actually dive too deep into VeChain. So I'm going to try to keep this as high level as I can and just trust the fact that if you are someone who wants to learn more about something particular, that of course you go to the link in the description and you go open up that web page, okay? So the blockchain that actually is created from VeChain here is called VeChain Thor. So it's not just VeChain, it's VeChain Thor. It doesn't run off proof of work, right? It doesn't run off proof of stake. It runs off something called proof of authority. Now, as we should all know, in proof of work, we will fight each other for the chance to mine the block, get the block reward. We can make money from the system. Proof of stake, generally speaking, it's the wealthy wins. Instead of fighting computationally, we're fighting with the amount of money we have. Essentially, proof of work to some degree does have that sort of system in place as well, if you count, paying for nodes and miners. But both of these networks both share a similar quality, and that's they can both be permissioned and permissionless, whereas proof of authority, we choose you. It's permission. The foundation, whoever's in charge of this network, has to actually choose you, right? And so Gavin Wood, the creator of Polkadot, actually created proof of authority, and the reason he moved away from that in Polkadot was because it's a centralized system. Polkadot's obviously very decentralized, and so that is the one concern we'll come back to at the end of this video in regards to VeChain, right? So all nodes, all 101 to be exact nodes, are called authority master nodes, but they're all known to VeChain. They were handpicked and chosen and KYC'd from VeChain themselves, right? They're obviously tasked with the usual, creating blocks and validating the blockchain. They must hold a minimum of 25 million VET, which is right now worth about $500,000. And so what is the phrase permissioned? And actually, VeChain's a public permission network. What does this actually mean? Well, it means that we as the community, including developers, can create dApps and view the public blockchain, but to join the network and run a node, to enter ourselves in the consensus process, VeChain has to authorize us. And so all nodes, again, are known to the network, and there are some obviously on a waiting list, and they were chosen based on 5 categories: enterprise users, blockchain development teams, business development ambassadors, community contributors, and academic research partners. We'll touch more on academic research partners in a second. And so, in my opinion, right, and this is very obvious to see as well, VeChain is heavily focused on the enterprise markets, which is what brought my attention and sucked me right down this rabbit hole, right? So VeChain actually started life as a competitor to consortium chains like Hyperledger Fabric, R3 Quarter, and Quorum, which I found very fascinating, right? So VeChain is, in still many respects, a competitor to these consortium private blockchains, But the main difference is that VeChain obviously has a public network token. It has its own, fungible token itself. So of course it varies in that case. And obviously in that sense as well, the main difference in why, some businesses might not want to use VeChain is because everything can be publicly available, all right? So here's some of the things that VeChain offers in terms of what markets it's attacking. Internet of Things, supply chain management, which is its main focus, and obviously business processes. And because it's proof of authority, it can have a really fast TPS at 10,000 and super fast finality at about 10 seconds, right? Which is the block time as well. So I'm not going to go through this. This is essentially one interesting thing I found about VeChain. So if you are wanting to learn more about the project, you can go through and read some of this as well. But they are extremely dedicated to working out what their market needs and the requirements of the whole blockchain industry are, and then actually providing an adequate and functional service for that, which is one thing we don't find with other projects, right? So you'd be very surprised to see that VeChain is heavily focused on research and development, refinement. And they're putting lots of hard-earned time, money, and obviously putting partnerships into this process, right? One notable one is Boston Consulting Group. So if you are interested in learning more about that, again, use and view my worksheet and have a look through those examples there. Again, that's a really big bonus in my opinion, right? So let's start with some of these basic fundamentals here. CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko. We'll start off with the price right now. It's just under 2 cents, which isn't too bad. That means nothing on the service level. The market cap right now is about 1.3 billion tokens, and the 24-hour trading volume being about 31 million, which is a 1:42 ratio, which ain't the best, but it's not the worst either, especially for a bear market. Over here, the supply, right? I'm not too sure. I couldn't find any information on the supply details for VeChain, which was really unfortunate, right? I like to vet that with the project itself. But suffice to say, it's about 84% in circulation. Apparently, people, are estimating there's more in circulation. It's just CoinMarketCap has this wrong, which is fair enough. And the max supply is about 86.7 billion tokens. The good thing is it's a fixed supply, so there will be no more tokens, which is fantastic to hear about. And if we come over here, guys, I want to say something very important. This gets talked about a lot, fully diluted market cap. I'm going to talk about this in all my review videos. We don't have to know this. It means nothing. Those people who are telling you, hey, check out the diluted market cap, blah, blah, blah. This is an important thing to look at. It's not. It literally means nothing, okay? So definitely if you have a YouTuber or some influencer telling you that this is an important metric, it is not. But what is an important metric is how to look at sort of its tags. Well, not really its tags, basically what it is, right? What it is and doing differently, right? So what it is a layer 1 blockchain, of course, and it works in the IoT/supply chain markets, which in my opinion aren't going to see much demand in 2025, hence their low score. Layer 1 definitely will have a very good narrative. Therefore, when I say narrative, we're essentially like a gold prospect. We're looking for where the most money will be, pushing into 2025. We all know the seasons, right? We have DeFi season, layer 1 season, layer 2 season. Well, I don't think IoT and supply chain will have a massive season. I think layer 1-esque blockchains definitely will. I could definitely be wrong in this case. Of course, anything can happen, but of course that isn't the best narrative. So we're not looking in a very good location thus far for VeChain, in my opinion, at least for 2025. Emphasis 2025. But the meme as well, the meme isn't that great, right? Because the only real difference between VeChain and other networks is that VeChain uses proof of authority, which actually can disincentivize people because it's very centralized. Or you could say it's heavily enterprise focused, which again, a meme should be something that, even degens, like people who just get into crypto should understand. And that to me isn't very powerful. So this doesn't mean the project's bad. It just means that I don't think there's gonna be much, huge blow-off potential in 2025 versus other projects. So what about the 1-year chart? Very important because this is essentially the bear market, okay? And we're actually lower right now in price than we were at the start of the bear market, which is, in my opinion, a good indication for a time to buy. But if we then zoom out all time, we're actually only a 10x up from its all-time low, right? So we're over here, all-time low was about in 2020, which again is very, very good. So I like to look at both of these for a good indication. Hey, is a good time a dollar cost average? In my opinion, again, not financial advice, I think it definitely is. Now let's come down here to analyze where we can buy it. And this is important because you don't want to be buying the wrong thing on the wrong exchange. So we want to look for proof of reserves, which Binance, Gate.io, MEXC and such do have, which is pretty much proof that those exchanges by APIs actually do have reserves there. So if we buy and keep our money on Binance or one of those other exchanges that, if they do collapse, they have the reserves there to pay back investors, which is what we want to find. Also, we want to find we're on the right trading pair, to the most liquid trading pair, right? Which is pretty much going to be USDT. We don't want to be finding or going onto an exchange buying some sort of crazy pair like ETH or BTC, right? And also the last, but most importantly, lots of trading volume. Use the exchanges that have the most amount of trading volume because they're the most liquid, right? most people are using it and trading on it. So tokenomics, this is the kind of the next step, the next evolution in fundamental research, right? So it's interesting because VeChain uses a 2-token model, right? Most blockchains or cryptocurrencies use a 1-token model. They have 1 token for everything, not VeChain. They have a 2-token model because they're focusing on enterprise users here, right? They have a main network token, which is the one we all know and love, which is the VET token. It's the utility token, as you can see in parentheses. And also they have a gas token, or what they call an energy token, right? Called VeChain. And the reason is to remove market volatility from fees, because all fees are paid in this token, not in VET, not at all in VET, in this token only, which is important because you have a project like Ethereum, which is a 1-token model, and when the price and speculation of the ETH token goes up, so do the fees. Well, VET have said, hang on, we're not going to let that happen. We have enterprise players here. These enterprise players want to know that when they use a network, there's going to be no sort of deciding factor or, sudden variable that shoots the fees up. So what they've done here is said, yeah, we got 1 token that's used for everything, but then we have the other token over here that is strictly used for fees. And let me explain to you a little bit more about what I mean. So the VET token is used for governance, for value storage and transfer via dApps, public dApps, again on the public network like smart contracts, Web3 type things. But the main thing I want to touch on here is that it's actually used to generate these tokens. So VET is used to generate VeChain tokens, which is a huge demand factor for VET itself, as more businesses require VeChain to process transactions, and they're going to obviously need to purchase and hold VET tokens, right? Or just simply buy VeChain on the open market. We're going to touch more about this in a second. I know right now it might seem a little bit smoke and mirrors, but again, let me explain that to you a little bit more in just a second. And so the VeChain token, like I've kind of already touched on, it's used to pay for fees like transactions, create smart contracts, and it's paid to the nodes, right? So 30% of each transaction fee is given to the nodes, 70% is burnt. And so what happens is for every 1 VET token per day, you have approximately 0.000432 one of these VeChain tokens, right, being created. So what this essentially means is that the more VET you hold, the more VeChain you can obviously generate per day. And the more VeChain you generate per day, the more free fees you have, right? So if you buy obviously 1 million VET tokens per day, whatever that works out to be, like 4,320 VeChain, which will, because the fees are so low, will set you up for quite a while. So what happens here is enterprise users are incentivized to buy a whole heap of VET tokens because they're getting free transactions. If not, that's cool. You can buy VeChain, as you can see here, on the open market. It's actually a publicly traded coin, right? You can buy it, but you're going to obviously be buying it for a markup and you're going to be spending money to buy those tokens, okay? So, and I know what some of you might be thinking, like, Corin, well, definitely can't the VeChain, token itself go up just because of, more transactions happening? And yes, that's true. But the VeChain Foundation and also something called the steering committee can at any moment change those fees, okay? So they can change how much the VET token produces of VeChain per day per token, and they can also just simply move the actual fee paid to, fees themselves, depending, right? Obviously, just like any network itself, you can obviously pay more in fees to have your transaction prioritized, so on and so forth. If you guys want the finer details, again, read through this yourself. It is a good read. It'll pretty much just explain what I've just said to you more articulately, basically, right? Now, one notable thing I want to say is that 70% of the VeChain tokens are burned, but that has no indication of demand aspect for the VET token itself. Remember, VeChain tokens are separate, as you can see here, and therefore, when they say to burn the 70%, it's just to make sure that the VeChain token itself, the fee isn't actually being used at all to push the actual price up for the payment token, right? The energy token itself. So from here on, I guess let's just talk about the VET token, because the VeChain token itself isn't as important. Most of us are going to buy the VET token to speculate on demand, right? So again, it is fixed at 86.7 billion tokens. Currently, about 84% apparently are in circulation. From what I've found, the foundation might have the rest of those tokens, if not any at all. And there is a deflationary mechanism on VeChain, and its ICO was back in 2017, so it is an old girl itself, raising over $60 million according to one source. Some other sources say 20 million. I couldn't really find too much on other websites that I typically use. Here's the beautiful feature that I want you guys to remember though. This is demand for VET token we're talking about, right? So it's VeChain's beautiful token demand because of this 2-token structure and the way that you have to generate VeChain from VET, right? So if an enterprise wants to use VeChain, okay, they need VeChain for the fees, for the gas. But they must buy and hold VET or purchase VeChain on the open market, as I said. But get this, there is an incentive to buy VET first, as holding it creates free transaction fees. Okay, so there's always going to be a need to buy VET tokens. The more you have, the more VTHO you generate, therefore more fees. Of course, you can go ahead and buy VTHO on the market, but you're going to get probably sold by the nodes rather, or people speculating on VTHO, selling you at a markup. So you're definitely incentivized to focus on VET, which is a model I love, right? Now, again, I couldn't find too much information here, like pretty much at all, on the token vesting schedule or the distribution itself. But from what I found, all the vesting rounds, so all the vesting rounds, like the seed rounds, for example, the venture capital rounds, they're all being vested, right? So if there are more tokens to be unlocked, that'd be in the hands, again, of the foundation, right? So here's the ecosystem. This is a massive, this is the massive factor in my opinion that makes me so bullish on VeChain. I can't believe I just hadn't heard of it before a lot of you guys recommended it to me, right? They have Renault, Louis Vuitton, BMW. They have the actual Chinese government they're using within smart cities, right? PwC. These are some massive players as well. I mean, guys, I was just randomly picking projects to add to this list. I mean, I'm definitely not cherry picking here. So please, what I would actually employ you to do is go to this link right here. And if you do download the sheet and just have a look, right? Have a look at what actually, the details of the partnership are. Have a look at just how big these companies are themselves, how many employees they have. I'm telling you right now, VeChain is massive in the enterprise world. I'm so excited for the future of this project. Only 117 dApps, but remember, they aren't focusing on Web3. These guys are focusing on the enterprise market. They come from a consortium background. They come from a background focusing on these players. They don't care about Web3. Web3 is a part of their whole ethos, right? Part of where they want to bring everything with dApps. But right now, it's not a primary focus, right? 2025, we're still young guys, right? So we also have to look at the roadmap, in my opinion, because the roadmap's a good indication of where demand can come into the market, right? Because we have to think to ourselves, which events will bring more than just the VeChain community to FOMO and buy the token itself? So essentially, what events are going to make a regular person, someone that's been in the space for a couple months, go, wow, this sounds amazing. I want to go buy some VET tokens. Well, it's things like this, right? And I've outlined these. So decentralized file storage, a really big one here is layer 2s they're bringing in, right? Smart contract security analysis tools, which is massive for the enterprise market. Multi-chain generic data bridge, oracles, huge. And I wanted to add this in there for all the people that were kind of giving me crap for smart city, my smart city theory, the 15-minute cities. They're also focusing here on smart city ecosystems. So, and that's one of the things they're working on this on China with, right? China's working on a smart city as a test bed, and VeChain's been chosen to actually help them create the blockchain and supply chain management infrastructure for that, which is huge. Now, we got some pretty interesting metrics over here, some good and bad side of the things. What I want to say for the record, VeChain is targeting purely enterprises right now, not, crypto and Web3. So take this with a grain of salt, but of course, it's an old girl project. Right now we're in a bear market, so obviously that's the real sex appeal isn't right there. So daily clauses, about 200,000. Clauses are essentially their glorified transactions that you can do a lot more complicated things with. We have new monthly addresses, about 23K, which isn't too bad. It's okay. I'll probably give it about a 6 out of 10. Monthly active users, probably a 2 out of 10. That's actually quite low, but again, they're not really focusing on crypto per se. Top 100 holders, quite centralized at 65%. Total holders, not amazing either at 2.12 million, but again, not too bad either. And new weekly smart contracts to give us an idea of how many smart contracts or overall applications might be created in so far, and it's only 32, which actually isn't too bad, right? So what are some of my concerns and overall opinion? Well, before I say that, I want to say, guys, one thing a lot of you are getting really wrong about crypto and where the world is heading is you think that proof of work is the best way to do things. It's not. It simply is not. And you see projects like Hedera or VeChain or Algorand heavily focusing and marketing themselves on being green. Near Protocol is another one that comes to mind. Why? Because this is a way the world is moving. Look at the big climate change narrative. So if you're focusing on, I hear people raving about Casper. Guys, I'm telling you right now, I have a really big concern for those people who are holding Casper for the long term, even Bitcoin to some degree. Bitcoin probably can overcome some sort of attack on proof of work networks, but I'm telling you right now, other proof of work networks that aren't eco-friendly, some of them are going to come under a lot of scrutiny. So be very careful. And again, one thing that VeChain focuses on, and again, they focus actually even this more than even Algorand, even Hedera. They're super in the sustainability aspect of things. Super, super green. They're even coming out with what they're calling a sustainable ecosystem or the blockchain biosphere, where they're creating infrastructure for different ecosystems from different sort of, sectors, if you will. And they're creating ecosystems like little, so essentially supply chain management efficiencies, right? So they're making the whole sort of system a lot more succinct so they can even remove some sort of areas where It might be, draining more energy out of, or using more materials, for example, unnecessarily. And then creating systems for that ecosystem and then combining all the ecosystems together. It's really, really cool and making just the whole world greener. They're calling it like their biosphere, right? So there's a lot to unpack. They pretty much go over this in pretty good depth. Their white paper 3.0, which I suggest everyone does read. Moral of the story here, they're focusing on what needs to be focused on, which is the greener future, and therefore they're going to attract more enterprise users, right? So 2025 explosive power. This is one of my concerns, right? The only real way the price of VET is going to go up is with true demand. Of course, we know this. Now, VET currently has a lot of things going for it, but these will take a long time to really develop. In my opinion, of course, they still have to go ahead with all of these deeper connections. But in my opinion, because 90% of the demand in 2025 will still be retail speculation, like degens buying, I don't think VeChain has much explosive potential because there isn't a large Web3 ecosystem right now, which retail feeds off. We know that retail markets are very much so based on wow factors, which VeChain might not be able to pull off between now and the next 2 years. So I think there won't be as much speculation demand in the short term, but of course, this is a 100x project in the long term, 2030 plus, definitely. But again, I think in 2025, it's just not, doesn't have that real sex appeal, if that makes sense. Number 2, crypto ethics. So this is a really big one in my opinion. So when you invest in VeChain, you are not investing in the same philosophies associated with crypto. This is what I mean. You're instead investing in a company that is fundamentally blockchain as a service. Personally, I'm fine with this, of course, but some of you, that might be a game changer. So you're not investing in decentralization, fairness, openness, blah, 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 somewhat openness. It's a company. It is just literally just a glorified company, right? It's got a top-down structure, only 101 nodes that are intimately known by VeChain themselves. They've come from a consortium background. They just have a public token we can use. So if you're someone that's decentralization or nothing else, this ain't for you. It just ain't for you, and it probably never will be for you, right? Now, also, I have some concerns with the proof of authority algorithm itself. So proof of authority network minimizes harmful actions by pre-screening participants before they join the network and banking on the threat of reputation damage as a deterrent for malicious behavior. However, this approach doesn't necessarily prevent someone from engaging in harmful activities. The potential rewards from a single reputation-damaging event might be more valuable to an individual than their standing within the community. So what this essentially is saying, basically, is it's proof of authority. The only proof of something it has is that we know who you are, and if you do something bad, we're going to take all your tokens and then publicly shame you. That's it. That is literally it, right? So they're just like nodes running an algorithm on the network. So if a whole bunch of them came together and said, hey, we're going to screw the network over, we can lose our $500,000 or 25 million VET tokens. And hey, we can just screw the public, screw the public outrage. We're just going to take off with the money. Now, that's the only concern. But of course, VeChain have selected their people very meticulously, and they know that they've obviously picked names in the space that can't get away with that, right? Reputation will not just kill their standing with the VeChain community or all the associated enterprise partners of VeChain, but also it'll screw their setting up with their own markets as well. So that's not something I'm concerned about, but it's just something I wanted to throw in your direction, right? So what's my overall opinion? Now, I'm shocked I have slept on VeChain for this long. The network aligns exactly with what I'm looking for in a cryptocurrency, period. It's up there with HBAR, so on and so forth, okay? However, based on my current research and understandings of the market, I don't think VeChain will outperform other altcoins I have an eye on in 2025. Now, I could definitely be wrong, and I'm comfortable saying that because I do need to see more research into the VeChain community, specifically themselves, and also the gravitas of the brand itself. So I just need to see, essentially, as I mentioned down here, how sought after VeChain actually is within Web3. It's an old project. A lot of people have this really weird mentality of, if it's old, I don't care about it. And they always look at the charts. How much has it gone up? How much has it gone down? They don't look at actual adoption. But I think that because, crypto is heavily that market right now, 90% of that market, even in 2025, that it's just going to tarnish it a little bit, right? Unfortunately, but I do think those of us who will hold, and I'm going to buy this token for damn sure, right? In 2030 plus, are going to see the best results possible when we come over that big hump in 2025, right? So all in all, I think VeChain is one of the best projects I have so far come across, and will be looking to add this to my portfolio when I can. Remember, we should be buying quality just in case of what happened in 2025. If we, buy now, I try to look for the projects that if I were to pass away or something were to happen to me and I was in a coma for 2 years, touch wood, God forbid, that in 2030 I could come back and at least have the peace of mind knowing I've got good projects, right? So in my opinion, VeChain is a buy as soon as you can project. And guys, that's going to cover today's video. Again, remember, use the sheet. It's there for you. I created it in as much detail as I could, specifically for you to go and view. Now, in saying that, if you have enjoyed, please hit the like button. A lot of work goes into these videos, and subscribe for more daily content. Guys, thanks again. Have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.